5 o'clock Southern California, this is Channel 2 Action News. With Bree Walker, Michael Tuck, Steve Rambo Weather, and Keith Holberman Sports. Channel 2 Action News at 5.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks very much for joining us today. Here's what's happening. That wet stuff you saw falling from the sky today, well, it's called rain. That's right, rain. Rain right here in the Southland in July. It was the first time it rained around here on a July 8th since they started keeping records, and that was way back in 1877. Most parts of our area didn't get too much, about 13/100ths of an inch by noontime, but it was still a welcome wonder here in drought-stricken Southern California.
Michael, in some areas of San Bernardino County, today's rain was less than welcome. Channel 2's Kim Mariner says it was a hard rain for some desert towns.
Sunday afternoon, a wall of water rushes down on homes along Cactus Street in Hesperia. The effects of the 45-minute downpour captured here by an amateur photographer. The flash floodwaters ripped out fences, piled mud on city streets, and into more than half a dozen homes. Sheila Barton's home suffered thousands of dollars in damage. There's water inside and mud outside. She's lived here 10 years and didn't start to have flooding problems until February. She's angry with the city.
It didn't used to be like this until just this year. Part of it is new construction, poor diversion of water. And that's part of our water problem is diversion from housing tracts. A few miles from here, 3 hours after it rains, we're still getting a wall of water, 40 feet wide and 3 feet deep, running at us.
Gina Bahunin is upset too. Her backyard was underwater in March and suffered damage again yesterday. She claims Hesperia has done little to help.
They're not helping us. They said it's your problem. We submitted a claim and they denied us. They said there's nothing we can do for you.
Hesperia homeowners affected by the floodwaters claim that recently built and city-approved housing tracts resulted in the diversion of rainwater right down onto their property. While the city may be liable, officials say they're doing what they can for those affected.
Our emergency responses, fire, police, and public works last night fielded quite a few people out to try to close roads that were impassable, clear those that were really jammed up with debris once the rain stopped, and in some cases help sandbag and also to give sandbags away to residents. The other thing is a long-term program in order to build storm drains in the city, which is what we really need to get after.
Hesperia has only been an incorporated city for 3 years. Coming up with a full storm drain system for the 60,000 people who live here will take years. Now this illustrates how severe the problem can be. It rained in Hesperia this afternoon for only a few minutes, but quickly streets were flooded. Mud and debris began flowing along roads. And then it was over. A few frightening moments for some, a few moments of pleasure for others. In Hesperia, Kim Mariner, Channel 2 Action News.
Southgate police are asking for your help in finding a 4-year-old boy. Little Gabriel Yanis disappeared on July the 1st. Police think he was abducted from his front yard by his mother's ex-boyfriend. Investigators say 24-year-old Jose Asuncion Mariscal was seen in the immediate area just before the little boy disappeared. They think he may be heading for Texas or Guadalajara, Mexico. Opening arguments got underway today in San Jose for accused mass murderer Richard Farley. The 42-year-old software engineer allegedly killed 7 people during a 1988 shooting rampage at a Sunnyvale office. He reportedly did it to gain the attention of a former co-worker who spurned him. Prosecutors said today that Farley had stockpiled an awesome arsenal, including 1,000 rounds of ammunition. They're seeking the death penalty.
A former 5th grade teacher was sentenced to 14 years in prison today for sexually molesting 4 female students. Donald Ray Moore taught for 16 years at the 97th Street School. He was arrested in 1987, but jumped bail the day he was to be charged with 21 counts of child molestation. Moore was captured a year ago. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department says it rules out the possibility that a second deputy was involved in a holdup at an Encinitas home. Detective Michael Stanowich was shot by a fellow deputy Wednesday as he tried to rob the home of Donald Van Oort. Van Oort tentatively identified another narcotics officer as an accomplice, but the deputy has a solid alibi.
The officer that he thought may have been involved was in fact being treated by his dentist in San Diego at the time that this occurred.
Investigators are now checking out claims by an informant that he was with Stanowich during the robbery attempt.
It was another violent weekend here in Los Angeles. At least 20 people were killed, 28 others injured, and among the dead, a 14-month-old infant. Channel 2's Chris Blatchford reports.
And it's killed a baby.
It happened here in front of this Willowbrook home.
Neighbors say at least 5 shots rang out as 4 members of the Jones family got out of their car. 3 of them hit by the gunfire.
It was a bloody mess, man. It was a bloody mess.
This neighbor, who did not want to give his name, says he ran outside after he heard the shots.
I seen 2 victims on the ground in front on the sidewalk and the other victim laying in the yard and the baby gasping for air as she was shot in the head. And it is terrible that they would ride by and kill an innocent kid.
But they did, and 14-month-old Michelle Jones was dead by the time paramedics got her to the hospital. Her mother, 21-year-old Katie Jones, was shot in the leg, and an uncle, John Jones, is still hospitalized in fair condition, also with a gunshot wound in the leg. One area resident who was here last night tells Channel 2, it all happened so quickly, nobody knew what was going on. Detectives at the scene would only say a brown Jeep Wagoneer was seen speeding away. Homicide detectives have not said whether or not they have any suspects. Here at the Jones house today, no one wanted to talk with us about what happened last night. A bullet hole in a neighbor's window was the only remaining visible testimony to the tragedy. And a spokesman for the sheriff's department says it is unclear whether the family was intentionally targeted by the gunman. In Willowbrook, Chris Blatchford, Channel 2 Action News.
On a much more positive note, some rival gang members got together today to help wipe out graffiti. It was a rare display of cooperation when they gathered to clean up the corner of Venice and San Vicente Boulevards. It's part of a program headed by Football Hall of Famer Jim Brown.
These young men that are here today with their young people have worked voluntarily to do something about the killing, do something about jobs, to do something about bringing opposing gangs together.
The office of City Councilman Nate Holden donated $10,000 to help pay for the cleanup effort. A team of 10 people will continue the cleanup every Monday.
Sometimes big progress is measured in just little small steps. Here are just a few of the stories still to come on Action News at 5. Harvey Levin's special reports on workers' comp fraud bring changes in law. We'll explain that to you. And more brides who say they were jilted by a wedding photographer come forward after seeing our troubleshooters' first report.
Recycling that can kill you. Dr. Howard Torman with a lead warning if you reuse your bread bags. And what if you scrimped and saved for a sunny Southern California vacation and came up all wet? Stay with us.
What a difference a day makes. 24 little hours.
C&R Express Tailoring. Pick out your clothes today, pick them up tomorrow.
What a difference a day makes. And the difference is you.
Express Tailoring, exclusively at C&R.
Right now, Charlie Brown's is serving up our live Maine lobster dinners. But at just $13.95, we won't be for long. Whole live Maine lobster dinners, just $13.95 at Charlie Brown's.
Tender live Maine lobsters. Even at Reuben's, we can only get them once a year. Fortunately for you, we've got them right now. Whole live Maine lobster dinners, just $13.95 at Reuben's.
As cars get older, they may need higher and higher octane, or they can't perform like they used to. But there is a gasoline specially formulated to control this higher octane need while providing the highest level of engine cleanliness. Texaco System 3. You get great performance in every octane grade.
Still think all gasolines are the same?
We say no to flimsy. So first of all, we start with a heart of solid brass, which gives Price Pfister faucets every advantage. Solid brass is favored by people in the know, since it's far stronger and lasts longer. Yet our affordability never fails to surprise. So look into and under a Price Pfister, the fabulous faucet with a funny name.
What do you call a home that works with you to save energy? A welcome home, with all the energy-saving extras designed right in. When builders work with Edison to create homes that exceed all state energy efficiency standards, this welcome home decal goes in the window. It's your assurance you'll be cozy and save money too. Not just energy, creative energy. Call Edison for welcome home locations near you.
A UN inspection team revealed today that Iraq has a secret program to enrich uranium that could be used to make nuclear bombs. Until now, Iraq denied having any nuclear program, but it's still not clear whether Iraq has enough uranium to actually make a bomb.
The Bush administration announced today that a Soviet delegation will arrive in Washington next Wednesday. That group is expected to talk about a U.S.-Soviet summit aimed at signing a treaty to reduce long-range nuclear weapons. In Yugoslavia, the Federal Army announced today that Slovenian forces released their last remaining Army prisoners. It's part of a ceasefire arrangement, but at the same time, there was violence in nearby Croatia. The Croatian militia fired mortars at a Federal Army unit, with government troops then returning fire.
More bad news for the Southern California aerospace industry. Beginning this fall, McDonnell Douglas will shift the assembling of cargo doors and ramps for its C-17 cargo plane from Long Beach to St. Louis. Some 250 employees who do that work will be reassigned to other projects at the Long Beach plant. But it will mean the loss of business for some local companies who make parts and tools for the C-17 work. Prosecutors call it a massive scam, one that bilked California health insurance companies out of $50 million. A dozen people were charged in today's indictments. Police say so-called mobile health labs would park outside health clubs.
This ring would pick up unsuspecting clubs and offer to provide free medical services, testing, and screening to their clients. Well, you and I know there's no such thing as a free lunch, at least not in the state of California. And the health club members didn't get a free lunch. At least their insurance companies didn't.
Police say the con men would then bill insurance companies up to $9,000 for visits that often only involve taking blood pressure.
California is still without a state budget tonight. The governor and the state legislature are deadlocked over workers' compensation reform. Now, the governor and others are using an Action News investigation as their ammunition. Channel 2's Harvey Levin first broke the workers' comp fraud story in a special series of reports last May. Harvey has the latest tonight from Sacramento.
What we want to do is to expose the series to legislators. We want to expose it to other news people, so that there is an understanding of what's going on in California.
Governor Wilson and other state officials are citing our Action News investigative series on workers' compensation fraud as evidence that the system must be reformed, particularly in the area of fraudulent stress claims. We went undercover to show how this law office phonied a workers' comp claim, even though I said nothing was wrong with me.
Okay, well, most of your stress claims, we have headache. You understand?
I was just shocked that there is such rampant, flagrant fraud. And even though it may be anecdotal, it clearly indicates that this is not just a problem, but a much larger problem, I think, than anybody had ever dreamed.
Governor Wilson wants to change the law to require that stress claims must be at least 50% job-related before an employer would have to pay a workers' comp claim. But the Democrats say the governor is playing politics with workers' comp by linking it to the state budget. According to the Democrats, workers' comp and the state budget are totally separate issues.
It has no place in the budget process. It does not mean one nickel for either the appropriation process or for the tax raising process. And to that end, it ought to stand on its own merit.
Some Democrats think Governor Wilson's proposal limiting stress claims is misdirected.
The real key to tackling fraud in the workers' comp system is contained in two other bills introduced this year that deal with felony penalties for doctors, lawyers, and others who engage in the kind of fraud you discovered in your series.
In the meantime, workers' comp reform continues to be the deal breaker in passing the $43 billion state budget. In Sacramento, Harvey Levin, Channel 2, Action News.
Still to come on Action News at 5, Clarence Thomas canvassing Capitol Hill for confirmation votes.
And a civil rights group wants a meeting with the nominee.
Then an Action News special report. What different ethnic communities think of the LA police? Stay with us.
Attention please, flight 730
739 has been canceled. Attention, flight 739.
Your flight was canceled? No problem, I can reschedule you. And I got you an aisle seat. Looks like you'll make that meeting after all.
There are two kinds of travelers in the world. Those who deal with the madness, and those who don't have to. Uniglow, we will change the way you travel.
The security of having a home is something I've always dreamed of. It was suggested American Savings Bank might be able to do the financing for us. And the realtor spoke very highly of Sheila Kay, said, if anybody can do this, Sheila can. And Sheila ended up coming to my home at 9 o'clock at night. We sat down and crunched the numbers. And I was settling for a rejection. She kept saying, just hang in there, it's gonna happen. And she looked at me and she said, so, when do you want to close?
This morning, as guests at the five-star Arizona Biltmore are tempted to breakfast, the fine brewed coffee usually served has been secretly switched to Folgers Crystals. Does it have the fresh brewed taste and aroma these guests expect?
It would just sort of waft me out of bed. Tastes like fresh ground beans.
Would help wake us up, get us going.
It's Folgers Crystals.
Coffee joint. I would have thought it was brewed. Is the word elegant? Can that be used for coffee?
Mountain-grown Folgers Crystals. Coffee rich enough to be served in America's finest restaurants.
I'll drink to that.
You guys gonna get married, really, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, here's the perfect starter gift, the Pacific Bell Smart Yellow Pages. What's the first thing you're gonna have them look for there?
We're already looking for it.
What is it?
A ring.
Oh, rings are easy, right under jewelry.
Jewelry's not in here.
Jewelry? No, wait a minute.
Wish.
Oh, come on, Byron.
Lots of jewelry stores.
Anything that really attracts your attention there?
They all attract my attention.
Yeah?
The pawn shop.
Oh, no, pawn shop, you romantic devil. Oh, look, Byron, you can run, but you can't hide. You know what we say. It's not in here. Maybe it doesn't exist.
If you want really great steak, you can go to a really great steakhouse, or you can come to Coco's. Both serve USDA choice corn-fed beef, like this juicy top sirloin. Both slow roast tender prime rib to bring out all the flavor, and both have unique specialty dishes like Coco's new pepper steak. So why choose Coco's for a great beef dinner? Our prices are a lot easier to swallow. Coco's, steakhouse quality beef, family restaurant prices.
U.S. Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas was busy making the rounds on Capitol Hill today, where it looks like there's a nasty confirmation fight brewing. The White House formally submitted his nomination to the Senate today, and Thomas began calling on key senators who will be voting on his confirmation. He paid courtesy calls to Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, who was said to be less than enthused, and Minority Leader Bob Dole. In Houston, meantime, the NAACP postponed its decision on whether to endorse or oppose the Thomas nomination. The group's leaders say they want to personally meet with Thomas first. They also plan to conduct an exhaustive review of the judge's public record.
The fact is, we are so unfavorably impressed with his known record that we are forced to take a further look.
The NAACP board wants Thomas to clarify his position on vital civil rights issues. Thomas, though, has not yet agreed to meet with them.
Tomorrow, the Christopher Commission will brief Mayor Tom Bradley and Police Chief Daryl Gates on its findings. The Citizens Panel was formed to look into the LAPD after the Rodney King beating. And one way or the other, the Commission's findings are expected to be controversial. Members of the Commission will hold a news conference at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Action News will be there live. We'll have reaction on Action News at noon and a special report at 3 p.m. The CBS Evening News airs at 3:30 tomorrow, and Action News begins at 4, just before the All-Star Game on CBS. Now, many officials are hopeful that the Christopher Commission findings will help heal the wounds caused by the controversy over the LAPD. But in our special series on how different ethnic communities view the police, we've found differences of opinion so deep that the Christopher Report may do little to help. Yesterday, Mike O'Connor reported on the white community. Today, Mike reports on the view from the black community.
To feel one beat of the black community, go to church. This is a good one to try. The first AME church was founded in 1872, now one of the most prominent black churches in LA, with roots extending throughout the community. It's Mayor Bradley's church. Recently, he helped inaugurate a church apartment complex for the handicapped. It's in a poor neighborhood, but on any Sunday, many people come here from middle-class or wealthy neighborhoods. The congregation is made up of the homeless and Arsenio Hall. Many of them do not like the Los Angeles police.
The folks who are supposed to be protecting us, the police, I believe that we distrust them more than we distrust the burglars.
A congregation of some 6,000 gathered around Minister Cecil Murray.
Now let everything that has breath say, praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
Reverend Murray, 14 years the pastor here, says he speaks for the congregation when he talks about the LAPD.
It is purely racist. It is not the same police state as South Africa, but it is a police state in maintaining the status quo of racism in America. The police get away with it because there's a blanket of approval by the police powers and by the police society. I think the civilians of a given city say to the police powers of a given city, now there are parameters, but you keep those black folks over there under control.
In our story yesterday, when we asked whites in Granada Hills about the police, we found no one who had ever had a relative or a friend mistreated by the LAPD. But almost everyone we talked to here had a story or a fear.
And a couple of times my brother has just been pulled over for a routine police stop, and he was asked to lay face down and he was kicked.
If I'm being pulled over and I'm by myself, I am afraid because I'm a single woman, I'm a black woman, and I'm by myself. Who's to stop them from doing anything that they want to?
Not everyone feels the same. This elderly woman says she's very afraid of criminals in her neighborhood and glad to have the police.
Well, I'm happy with the way they, the way they're doing, the patrolling, the streets and stuff. So I think they're doing a beautiful job.
We found the same view from another woman who says it's the police who keep her safe. She's in a senior center in Watts.
They're trying to do their job, which must be very difficult and also very dangerous because people are shooting and carrying on out there.
But overall, blacks in Los Angeles do not trust their police. A UCLA study found that before the Rodney King beating, only 28% of blacks had a lot of confidence in the police, and afterwards, the number dropped to 8%. At the senior center in one of LA's most dangerous neighborhoods, four men talk of fear and of the police.
I know one thing, I'd hate to have them be down here without them.
I hate to be down here without them, and some of them I hate to be down here with.
He says there's so much killing, he thinks undercover officers are secretly shooting gang members. Your confidence in the police is so obliterated, so gone, that you think they are somehow involved in the killing going on.
I believe you got my knife, man.
I believe that. I believe that.
Others won't go that far, but the comments are biting.
As long as we, the black people, destroying themselves, they could care less.
Give me 5.
I'll say that. They could care less.
But you let some white people get hurt.
Give me 10.
Boy, they have every police down here, and I bet before sundown they'll have somebody.
Overall, the difference between the way blacks and whites look at the police department seems to reveal a serious split in the city, a split along racial lines. And it makes it seem as if no matter what the Christopher Commission finds in its study of the police, a lot of people won't be satisfied. Whites who generally have confidence in the police may find a critical report hard to believe, while many blacks may find anything that is not highly critical a cover-up. If that happens, Reverend Murray says,
we will keep fighting and protesting. We will protest and protest until all 90 ethnicities in Los Angeles are treated fairly, and not just the whites.
If there are protests, many whites may not understand why, because most of the whites we spoke to have a hard time understanding why anyone who is not a criminal would not be a fan of the police department.
What polarization. Among the people you talked to for this latest report, was there a common theme for what they wanted? Was it the firing of Gates? Was it more minority officers? Was it just more respect, or what was it?
I would say more respect in general, but the focus of this is Chief Gates. Somehow that people feel that if Gates is removed, the police department will be reformed. I'm not sure that's the case, but he's the man who they're looking at.
He is drawing all the attention. Thank you very much,
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Here are some of the stories still ahead on Action News at 5. Vandals desecrate the grave of a young man who dedicated his life to fighting AIDS discrimination.
Dr. Torman has an important health warning for people who recycle their bread bags.
And a new screening process that can mean less time in the hospital for victims of sickle cell.
Just another phone number, right? Not exactly. This number can mean a beautiful add-on for your home, a new pool, an exotic vacation, or or the cash you need to consolidate your bills. You see, Ames arranges quality equity loans for homeowners at competitive rates with no credit hassles. So discover what so many Californians already know. When it comes to borrowing, one number does it all. All right, quit showing off.
All aboard! The International House of Pancakes Passport Breakfast. 2 eggs, 2 bacon, 2 sausage, and 2 very international-style pancakes. Either German, Swedish, French, or good old-fashioned buttermilk. So if you like a big breakfast just a little out of the ordinary and you're headed for the International House of Pancakes, you're on the right track.
IHOP Passport Breakfast, served Monday through Friday anytime, except holidays only $2.99.
Excuse me, sir. Are you waiting for the doors to open here at Silo tomorrow?
No, not exactly.
Not trying to be first in line for those big savings on top-brand electronics and appliances?
No, not me.
Come on, sir. A little greed's nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm not ashamed. Greedy.
What are you waiting here for?
The car died.
Oh, yeah? Lucky you had the coffee, donuts, and the Silo ad to read.
The newspaper just happens to be open there.
I see you got some items circled.
It's a ring from the coffee.
Red coffee?
Jelly donut.
Silo. Televisions, audio, and appliances.
Hey, look at me! New shoes!
Why the best footwear, dude?
You're a speed, babe! I'm gonna outrun your bug killer!
Guess again, cool bug.
Uh-oh!
Bugs can't escape raid ad and roach killer. It contains quick-killing pyrethrin, and it's made to work twice as fast as before.
That's life in the fast lane.
Kill bugs dead with 9.5-ounce Raid Ant and Roach Killer, now just $1.99 at Vaughn.
On April 17, 1991, after conducting an independent evaluation of national weight loss companies, the respected San Francisco Chronicle said this about Jenny Craig. Of the leading national programs, the food rated highest in taste, texture, and appearance. The cost was reasonable. Overall, the program included all the components that contribute to successful weight loss. Thank you, San Francisco Chronicle. Here's more good news. Lose all you want for just a $39.50 service fee. Call 1-800-76-JENNY.
Ryan White's mother is offering a $500 reward for information leading to the arrest of the vandals who once again desecrated the grave of her son. This is the 4th time Ryan's gravestone has been toppled since his death from AIDS more than a year ago. This latest vandalism happened sometime over the weekend.
There is a great possibility, a good possibility really, that we won't even move Ryan. The gravesite itself, and it will stay here in Indiana though.
Ryan was a hemophiliac who contracted AIDS from a blood transfusion. He fought AIDS discrimination.
There is a health warning tonight for people who recycle bread wrappers. Our health editor, Dr. Howard Torman, tells us all about that, plus a new way, look at a new way to keep kids with sickle cell disease out of the hospital. First of all, we're happy to have you as a regular fixture now here on the 5 o'clock news.
Nice to be here on the 5. This first thing is really interesting. There is now a way to cut back on the amount of time that people with sickle cell anemia have to spend in the hospital. Sickle cell anemia is a very common inherited disease of red blood cells, and it's usually pretty easy to spot, but sometimes the complications of sickle cell can be confused with other diseases. Many sickle cell patients develop bone pain and fevers that are often assumed to be due to an infection. But now, researchers at Children's Hospital have discovered that frequently there's no infection at all. And as a result, these people often don't need to be treated anymore with a long hospital stay or antibiotics. In sickle cell anemia, red blood cells change from their usually smooth, round appearance to irregular shapes that can clog up in tiny blood vessels, especially in the bones. Now that starves the bone of oxygen, causing pain, and it ends up looking like there might be an infection. But now a painless scan has been developed that uses harmless radioactive tracers to look at suspicious bone areas. It can tell if there's really infection, which does need lengthy treatment, or if the problem is simply the result of clogged up blood vessels.
It's really made a dramatic difference in the care of patients with sickle cell disease. We've been able to speed up the care of these children and really come to a correct diagnosis just almost immediately.
So instead of weeks in the hospital, which pretty much used to be the routine way to treat people with this particular problem, now many of the patients actually get to go home in just a few days. You may not know it, but a lot of the wrappers around loaves of bread, store-bought bread, contain lead, same kind of lead that's thought to cause a whole variety of medical problems. Now, usually the lead wrappers aren't really concerned because you look at these things, the lead is in the paint or the dyes that are on the outside of the wrapper, and usually it won't come in contact with any kind of food. But according to a study from the University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey, if you're one of those who saves the wrappers, you empty out all the bread, and then you turn it inside out like this, and you use it as a lunch bag or whatever, you are setting yourself and your children up for possible lead poisoning, because this way, the lead, which is on the coloring inside, is right next to the food. It gets rubbed off on the food, or very weak acids in certain foods like vinegar or even maybe lemons can leach the acid out, the lead out rather, and you end up eating it. Now the point is, you and your family could end up being exposed to excessive amounts of lead if you like to recycle these things.
So just don't turn it inside out as long as you leave it the way it is.
That's actually true. It would work that way. I don't know if it's for cosmetic reasons or what, but the majority of people who do this like to turn it inside out. And by the way, surprisingly, as part of the study, almost 50% of people recycle their bags.
It seems like there'd be another concern, too. The last thing you touch before you touch the bread is that wrapper in many cases. I'm wondering about the transference of lead from your hands to the bread.
Yeah, actually, they didn't look at that. I mean, I suspect that would be a real concern, but the main thing here is when you use this as a bag, a lunch bag, it has time to kind of rub in there, and plus the chemicals from the food will rub it off.
Good information.
Thanks a lot, Howard.
Take care.
When Action News at 5 continues, a train off the track stops traffic on the mighty Mississippi.
And some kids from South Central get the chance of a lifetime. We'll explain right after this.
American Airlines proudly announces daily nonstop service from Los Angeles to London's Heathrow Airport. And with our expanded service from across the U.S., American will become the #1 American airline to London. So come with us to Great Britain's first city on America's #1 airline.
Chicken, how about sirloin? Grab all the ribs that you can purloin. Be my little barbecue tonight. Any old time, any old weather, we'll start the fire by rubbing up together. Be my little barbecue tonight.
The Black Angus Barbecue Platter. A great deal of steak, chicken, and baby back ribs. Now only $9.95. But get them while they're hot.
On my first job back in the 60s, I traveled out west a lot. The only place original Coors was sold, which made me a very popular guy. Here's Steve swapping me his old stereo for a case. I think he took me. I used to bring Coors back in my trunk. It was like home delivery, fresh from the Rockies. Ta-da! After I got married, I changed jobs, but not beers. Hey, the best things in life never change.
Look what happens to your pictures when you bring them to Save On for developing. See? The people at Save On really care about your pictures. They use the Kodak Color Watch system. Every picture gets special attention. Save On can actually improve the color, fix the exposure, adjust the contrast, and lots of other things. So what you get back is often better than what you brought in. Well, not in this particular case, of course.
At Save On, you can count on people who care.
28 cars on a Burlington Northern freight train derailed today in Wisconsin. Some of the derailed cars went into the Mississippi River, shutting down river traffic for a time. Investigators aren't sure what caused the accident, but they say some cars will continue to burn until tomorrow.
President Bush today announced the creation of a nonprofit corporation to raise $200 million to help make American students competitive with the rest of the world.
We seek nothing less than a new generation of American schools. Schools that will help every student reach world-class standards. All we ask is this: students in these new American schools must demonstrate that they can meet the new national standards for 5 core subjects.
The president says one recommendation is year-round schooling.
Well, Penny, of course, the University of Southern California borders LA's rough and largely poor South Central area. Well, now the school is reaching out to some youngsters in that community and promising them a free education if they can make the commitment. Our Neri Inclan has the story.
Anga. Shanair.
This morning, they were in a circle to learn each other's names. But if all goes well, this group of disadvantaged students will form a 6-year bond that will get them into college. They are South Central 7th graders born with the odds against them. but now part of a program aimed at evening the score.
The goal is to take the average student and to subject them to some type of unique curriculum offering and teaching so that they can become college capable.
It's called the University of Southern California Neighborhood Initiative Program. 67th graders from nearby schools have signed a contract promising to attend special courses for 6 years that demand high standards and commitment. If by graduation their achievements are good enough to get them into USC, their entire college education will be paid for. The 12-year-olds don't underestimate this opportunity.
I know it's going to be a lot of work, hard work and everything, but I want to hang in there, and I feel very, very proud of myself, to have been accepted to such a, great program like this.
The program taps into every federal and state dollar available for disadvantaged students, appeals for money from private companies, and USC has promised to pay the rest. This group will attend the university for the first 2 hours of their school day and then go on to their regular junior high schools. To ensure the students' motivations, their parents or guardians have to agree to attend weekly meetings. In exchange, USC offers them free classes to further their education.
I knew I was wanting to go to college, and I planned on to do everything I possibly could to go to college. I want to be different. Most of my friends, I don't think they're going to college, but I want to make something in my life. I want to be somebody.
Nerian Klein, Channel 2, Action News.
What a great program.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if every school in the country did that?
It would be wonderful,
Sure
wonderful
would.
opportunity for those kids. Still to come on Action News at 5, some bogus 20s that are as phony as a $3 bill.
And get ready for this one. TV evangelists wash their dirty linen in public again.
And thanks to the troubleshooter, the honeymoon's just begun for some brides, reunited with their wedding pictures.
Cruising, I feel, is something that a lot of people dream about.
Somewhere between a wish and a dream, somewhere.
Somewhere is here on a princess cruise.
Somewhere between a wave and the sea, between a glance and a touch, somewhere.
Somewhere. Only on Princess. It's more than a cruise. It's the Love Boats.
Quelle différence d'un jour à l'autre, 24 petites heures.
Today, C&R has a great selection of European fashions that can be ready tomorrow.
Quelle différence d'un jour à l'autre, et la différence, c'est vous.
The European collection, exclusively at C&R.
Now, El Torito's famous fajitas are better than ever. Because now our sizzling fajita combos are among over 40 big, delicious Mexican meals for under $7.99 every day. Sizzling steak or chicken fajita combos with a taco, an enchilada, or taquitos, and even a delicious chocolate mousse dessert, all for just $7.95 at El Torito.
Do you know what I am? I'm a dryer hose, or what they call in the home improvement business, a hard-to-find item. Of course, if you shopped at Home Club, I'd be as easy to find as the front door. That's where you'll run into a Home Club helper who'll be happy to tell you where you can find any one of over 25,000 items in their store, including me, Harry the Hose. Home Club, no membership. Everyone gets our lowest prices.
Evangelist Jimmy Swaggart and Marvin Gorman took their long-running feud into a New Orleans courtroom today. Swaggart is being sued by Gorman for defamation. In 1988, Swaggart was kicked out of the Assemblies of God Church because he refused to accept a year's discipline for sexual improprieties with a prostitute. It was Gorman who was his chief accuser. Swaggart, in turn, accused Gorman of having numerous adulterous affairs. Gorman claims those accusations are false and they ruined his ministry. He's asking for $90 million in damages.
There's a bunch of funny money showing up around town these days. Police say phony $20 bills are being circulated around Los Angeles. Now, there are 2 counterfeit operations behind at least $500,000 in bogus 20s. Police say the bad bills are found mostly in immigrant areas because newcomers are less likely to spot the phony money. Authorities say so far they have no leads, though, on the counterfeit rings.
Tonight, our troubleshooter Judd McIlvain takes a second look at a photographer who jilted brides and eloped with the negatives. Judd's here with a Shame on You follow-up report. Judd?
Some of these brides would like to do more than say shame on you. Now, 6 brides asked me for help when they were looking for the elusive photographer that took off not with just their money, but also with their cherished wedding pictures. The Orange County DA's office joined us in a search for the most wanted photographer, Rudy Zamora. Within days, more than the negatives started developing.
Shame, 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 shame on you.
This is Rudy Zamora, the photographer that the Orange County District Attorney's Office tracked down. Zamora is seen here in home video of Chris Marcel's wedding. Chris and her husband paid Zamora up front for their wedding pictures, but they never got them.
No, I have nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'm angry, extremely angry. And I want to find this guy. I hope I do.
Chris was not the only bride that was left at the altar without wedding pictures. At least 6 other couples had similar stories about photographer Zamora.
My wedding was a one-time thing, and I have no pictures left to show for it.
The brides called me when they realized that Zamora had disappeared without a trace.
He's got 1,034 of mine. I have nothing. It really burns me up.
I don't care about the money anymore. I mean, I don't care if he took thousands of dollars from me. I just want the negatives.
After we met, I suggested they take their leads to the district attorney. In a few days, investigator Tim Collins tracked down Zamora. The photographer was ordered to show up in the DA's office with all the wedding pictures.
There is insufficient evidence to charge him criminally, although there are a number of civil cases that are pending against him.
The DA turned over the photos to some very happy brides.
I'm very, very happy. Yes, I'm happy. I have something now.
I'm happy. I can go have my pictures made, give pictures to my family now, and everybody's happy.
I was glad to see him this way. It's very important to have your wedding pictures.
The deputy DA says they have had calls from other brides asking about their wedding pictures. Zamora says he turned over all the pictures. He claims he simply ran out of money and was hiding out because he feared what the new husbands might do to him. You buy his excuse that he just had some hard times?
Oh, he's still a scumbag.
Shame, 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 shame on you.
Scumbag. Well, Zamora told me he didn't mean to rip anybody off. He's now apparently out of the photography business. If you did business with Mr. Zamora and you're still missing your pictures, contact the Orange County DA's Consumer Division. Those ladies still don't like that man very much.
You made a lot of friends.
They have a stamp on their pictures. I wouldn't like that either.
You know what he told me about that stamp? He says, we can just get a little acid and rub it off. Can you believe it?
Thanks a lot, Judd. Well, there's more coming up here at 5 o'clock, but let's find out what's coming up at 6 o'clock. Tricia Toyota's here to tell us.
All right, Penny and Mike, coming up at 6 o'clock. It is the first day of LA cutbacks in fire and paramedic services. Find out what that could mean to you in an emergency. We're going to show you home video of a gang fight. Police hope the tape can lead to arrests. After 3 years on the run, the leader of a local commune faces felony child abuse charges in court. And a warning if you were thinking of a trip to the beach after this storm blows over. And find out what happens to a couple of captive whales before they are released into the wild. We'll have those stories and more coming up here at 6. Mike and Penny.
See you in about 15 minutes. Thank you, Trish. Well, Mac is up next to tell us if this weird weather is going to continue.
Then find out if the rain dampened some tourist spirits and plans.
In sports, one Dodger won't be pitching in the All-Star game, but it's okay. Another Dodger replaces him.
Then blood is drawn at the 400-year-old running of the Bulls in Pamplona.
A lot of people treat plastic beverage containers, glass bottles, and aluminum cans like garbage. They're not. They can be recycled to help save natural resources, energy, and extend the life of our landfills. So don't throw them in the trash. They're not garbage anymore. Every container counts, and every 2 are worth a nickel.
At Caro's, we make ordinary chicken extraordinary. We bake it to perfection. We saute it piccata. We toss it with pasta. We sauce it Florentine. We even simmer it in Grey Poupon. In fact, Caro's has 5 tempting new ways to enjoy chicken from only $5.99. So, when it comes to chicken, savor the classics at Caro's, where we care. Right now, enjoy this weekday breakfast for only $3.39.
If you buy Lysol, 65% of what you pay for is water. Formula 409, 92% is water. Windex, 93% is water. But with Take 5, you don't pay for water. Take 5 is 100% cleaner. You add your own water, so 1 bottle of Take 5 equals up to 14 bottles of other cleaners. Economical Take 5, the only cleaner you'll ever need.
For nearly 2 decades, the San Diego Wild Animal Park has worked to save endangered species. Today, we're bringing some back to life at Dinos to Rhinos, a special exhibit of prehistoric creatures. By seeing it, you'll help us continue our preservation efforts. Of course, we weren't around to save the dinosaurs' necks, but we're not too late to save theirs.
You're watching Channel 2 Action News at 5, winner of the Emmy Award for Best 60-Minute Newscast.
Still to come here on Action News at 5, the running of the bulls and a tot who's hot on the water.
But first, a quick look at sports and weather together. Keith Overman here has the day in sports for us.
And a good day so far, Penny. The Good Samaritan umpire was upgraded to fair condition by the Dallas hospital in which he is resting after having been shot while foiling a robbery attempt. Steve Palermo, maybe the best overall ump in the American League, stepped in between 4 robbers and 2 waitresses outside a Dallas night spot Sunday morning. He was shot in the back. Another man was shot in the neck trying to break up the robbery. The injuries are not life-threatening, but they might keep Palermo out of baseball for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, all of baseball's on-the-field heroes are in Toronto, and it's official now. Ramon Martinez of the Dodgers will not pitch in the All-Star game tomorrow night. Ramon had to leave yesterday's game in the 6th inning due to a strain in his left hip. Today in Toronto, we asked him if he was disappointed about having to miss the action.
Oh, I would like to pitch. Yeah, I would like to pitch.
But one Dodger isn't disappointed. Ramon's teammate Mike Morgan will replace him on the National League All-Star team. When he was bypassed for the original squad last week, Morgan was angry and heartbroken. With 9 wins and a 2.43 earned run average, he's having his best big league season after years of struggle. And now finally he gets his reward. He is an All-Star after all. A man that the National League just named as its starting pitcher also has an L.A. connection. Tom Glavine, who years ago was drafted as a hockey left wing by the Kings, will oppose the American League's Jack Morris from the Twins. The All-Star game is here on Channel 2. I'll bring you the pregame show tomorrow at 4:45 and the postgame show right afterwards. Finally, a different kind of baseball for the kids. The Peck Park team won the championship of the San Pedro Corey League this year. Corey League, a youth organization for kids 13 and 14 years old. Every year in Miami, they have an international tournament for all the local winners, but the kids from Peck are from lower income families, and with the trip to Florida scheduled for Wednesday, they only have half the money they need.
The folks have contributed, moms and dad. We have some donations. We had one big donation of $1,000 that paid 3 airfares. Otherwise, possibly these 3 boys wouldn't have gone.
But there is late good news developing for these kids. Rory Marcus will have a full report on that on Action News at 6. May go after all. Keep your fingers crossed.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Keith. It's that wild time again in Spain, the traditional running of the bulls in Pamplona. The event has been held each year since 1591, with the bulls running from their pens to the bull ring. Today, 5 spectators didn't run with them fast enough. The Swedish man was the most seriously hurt. He was rushed to the hospital and operated on for an 8-inch gash. Otherwise, everything went fine. They're already planning next year's run, and every year I say, why?
Well, Mac, who was in for Steve today, has more sense than to do something like that. Mac, for example.
I'm not so sure.
Mac would go up on the roof where it's been raining all day. Tell us about it, Mac.
Mike, you know that even a small calf stepping on your foot hurts. So
Yes.
I'm not going to go to Pamplona involved. We'll let Geraldo types do that kind of stuff. Well, there was rain in Southern California today. You couldn't tell by this afternoon, plenty of sunshine. But let me show you my cool shades. Well, actually, you can't see very well. These are for the solar eclipse coming up on Thursday. Now, Thursday morning at 11:30, we will get a 69% eclipse here in LA. That's not 100%. It won't go dark. like it will in some places of the world. But you need these special glasses to get a good look at it. And if you don't have glasses like this, for God's sakes, don't be looking at the eclipse. You could damage your eyes. Tomorrow and on Wednesday, we'll be showing you ways how everyone can get a safe look at the eclipse, which is coming up on Thursday. Well, let's go to Griffith Observatory, and we thank them for the glasses that we'll get to use here. But there was rain in California today. The 1/1300th of an inch of rain that fell at the downtown thermometer makes this the wettest July 8th since 1877. Can you figure that one out? I mean, it's unusual. It's not out of the question that we get rain in the summer months, but that it gets over the mountains and hits our downtown rain gauge, that's what's unusual. 84 our high, 64 the overnight low, rather mild and muggy around the Southland over the weekend. Here's our satellite view. The low moved out over Arizona through the deserts and then drifted over our area, causing the rain today. That low is now moving back to the northeast, should be over Las Vegas by tomorrow. We're looking at 2 days of drying weather. There you see the tons of moisture moving northward with all that activity overnight. And of course, the shower activity now that has ended, we're looking for 2 days of drying. Later, probably by the last part of the weekend, we're looking for possibility of more thunderstorms in the deserts. Quick look at the 5-day forecast. Looks something like this. Partly cloudy for the next 2 days, temperatures in the 80s, and then by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, desert thunderstorms are likely to be a problem again in our local mountains and areas. We had a little flash flooding out there, and that's the biggest problem and threat with this. Also lightning, but we didn't have too much lightning with the light rain that we had today. It's nice. Turn off your sprinklers. You won't need them for 2 or 3 days. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mac. Get off that roof anyway. May rain again.
Well, still to come on Action News at 5. Don't tell these tourists that it never rains in Southern California.
And an infant who already has his sea legs.
You get chicken, how about sirloin? Grab all the ribs that you can purloin. Be my little barbecue tonight. Any old time, any old weather, we'll start the fire by rubbing up together. Be my little barbecue tonight.
The Black Angus Barbecue Platter. A great deal of steak, chicken, and baby back ribs. Now only $9.95. But get them while they're hot.
Honey, we're talking grounds for divorce.
It's so bad you can taste it. The sticky, pasty film inside your mouth.
It's pretty bad.
Ugh. You wake up with every morning of your life. Morning breath.
I'll be right back.
Fight morning breath with Scope. Antiseptic Scope kills on contact 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Come and get it. I'm all yours. Hook her up, sweetie pie.
Antiseptic Scope. It's the best thing, first thing in the morning.
Your kiss is ready.
When you think about the unique joy your dog brings you, why would you ever want to feed him anything less than America's finest dog food? New Reward. For the very best dogs in the world, what may just be the very best dog food.
Bobby, looking down here, I see you got a sports injury. Probably holding your career back, you know? Have you ever thought of looking at Pacific Bell Smart Yellow Pages? You know, you got sports medicine clinics, arthroscopic surgery, you know?
Maybe I should look in for a body lift in there or
Yeah, I
something.
know, yeah, okay. A body lift?
Yeah.
A whole body lift is what you named your thing?
I think so.
Can you think of anything you need that isn't in here?
No.
No, you really can't.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, there again, if it's not in here, maybe it doesn't exist.
Don't miss the Pasadena Jazz Weekend, August 24th and 25th at the Ambassador Auditorium. For more information, call 1-800-CONCERT.
One tiny tot is making waves in Portland, Oregon for his prowess on the water. This is Roop, who holds the record for being the world's youngest water skier. Roop grabbed a tow rope at the tender age of 5 months, 26 days. His parents say he's a natural, but they do keep a careful eye when he hits the water.
Let him ski, then when he starts to fall, I'm standing right on the swim step. I just grab him so we're not as crazy as people think.
Oh, no. Well, while Roop may be a whiz on the water, on solid ground, he's still a tenderfoot. His parents say he hasn't quite mastered simply standing up.
Most parents think their kids can walk on water anyway. You do, don't
Well,
you?
mine can't.
Yeah. Well, whatever you do, don't tell a tourist it hardly ever rains in Southern California. They hardly appreciate hearing it happens to be raining on the very day they happen to be in town. Our Dorothy Lucy has the story.
For the last month, it's been, I'm singing in the dust.
Just singing in the
Dust.
The dust busting is annoying some tourists.
Yeah, I can go to the east and get rained on. It's raining. It's not supposed to do that in California.
It makes us feel like home. We're from England. We just love it when it rains.
This town needed the rain. It had been dry. Last week, I saw 2 palm trees fighting over a dog.
Now that we're in the dog days of summer, comedian Argus Hamilton wants to explain to those who have come to see the sun why we need the rain.
Because unless it rains, L.A. has two styles of air, plain and chunky.
But while we're getting our air conditioned, what's a tourist to do?
We're on guide patrol.
Gee, I always thought Rodeo Drive was for shopping. Well, I guess they are shopping, kind of.
If you see a cute guy, you just go, okay, let's go.
Hey, let's look around. How about this gentleman over here?
Too old.
Sorry.
Bye.
The girls are off on guide patrol. Wait, I think there's been a sighting.
What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Not clouds, not rain could keep those girls from their vacation shopping. I think they were shopping for something in the range of a 14 to 17-year-old guy, so I let them shop alone.
They found just what they wanted there, it looked like.
They did.
As a singer, old Argus Hamilton's a great comedian, isn't he?
You know, as many people were upset about it raining,
Yeah.
as many people were upset about missing the earthquake.
Oh, no.
They think all of LA is an earthquake ride, these tourists.
Thanks, Dorothy. Well, that wraps up this edition of Action News at 5. We sure thank you for spending part of your day with us.
Tricia Toyota and Bob Jimenez are here now with a look at what's ahead on Action News at 6. Tricia?
And Mike and Penny coming up here at 6. LA City budget cutbacks hit hard. We'll have the first day of rolling brownouts in the fire department and how they may affect you. Southgate police hope this home video will help them capture the gangbangers who fought this weekend.
Then this, a fugitive on the run for 3 years, caught and hauled into court on felony child abuse charges. We'll tell you about it. Fear rises in a Chatworth neighborhood where more dogs are poisoned.
Plus, 2 whales kept in captivity are prepared for their release to the wild. Mac has more on this rare and wonderful July rain.
And Keith Olbermann on a local baseball team and its struggle to make it to the top. All that and more coming up next.
Did I tell you what I discovered in my litter box?
Oh, please.
They got me Control cat litter. Controls ammonia odor.
Ammonia odor? How vile. Or so I hear.
You should smell my litter now.
Oh, I'm sure. It's lovely.
Look, this special paper shows Control helps prevent ammonia odor, whereas your litter, phew.
I beg your pardon.
Trust me, hon, I have a nose for these things.
Control cat litter, because if you don't like ammonia odor...
Imagine how we feel.
America, how do you measure up? Eating right is a good start. But when good intentions don't seem to be enough, there's GNC. At General Nutrition Centers, we're here to help, offering a huge selection of diet products at prices you'll love, like Lacey LeBeau Dieter's Tea. Make this delicious treat a part of your everyday diet in 5 great-tasting Lacey LeBeau flavors. It's just one more way we're helping to keep you in shape at America's Diet Store, GNC.
LensCrafters is famous for 1-hour service. Other optical stores have buy one, get one free offers. LensCrafters has the lab right in the store. They have buy one, get one free. But now you can bring any buy one, get one free to LensCrafters. We'll honor any competitor's buy one, get one free. Just bring us their offer. With LensCrafters accepting competitors' buy one, get one free offers, now there's no reason to go anywhere else.
24 area locations, including Downey, Lancaster, and Arcadia.
Some think we do perms. Some think we do cuts. We do it all. At Fantastic Sam's, you can afford to look this good, or this good, or this good. Now's the time for a Perm Plus at Fantastic Sam's. A perm, a cut, and some style.
What do you think?
You don't need an appointment. We're waiting for you now.
Surviving in the City, the summer of '91, next Geraldo.
6 o'clock Southern California, this is Channel 2 Action News. With Tricia Toyota, Jim Lampley,
Claudio Perez weather. And Keith Olbermann sports. Channel 2 Action News at 6.